Alright, here we go. Got my stuff all together. And we have an S&S Super E. It actually looks to be in pretty good shape. It's not too bad. Alright, let's get her apart. See what she looks like inside.
So hopefully this carburetor is pretty representative of what I'm going to find in the rest of the bike, because it's pretty clean.
Okay. Just going to give her a wiggle. And she really doesn't look bad inside at all, really. Looks really good inside, as a matter of fact. Well, let's get this gasket off. Missing the little donut there, it looks like. Gasket. Gonna have to take this throttle assembly apart as well. So let's get these jets out of here.
Just going to get the main jet out of the emulsion tube.
Okay. That's not super clean, but, you know, I guess it could be worse. Get the emulsion tube out. And yeah, that could also be cleaner. Could be. Definitely seen worse. Okay, and then we've got our jet. So this here is the idle jet, which I was going to say actually looks pretty good, and then I turned it. So yeah, there's some gunk on this as well. Alright, so we're going to have to take this assembly apart, and then I can move on to the float bowl.
So here I'm just removing the throttle assembly. I just have to take out a couple of screws to remove the plate and then slide it out of the slot in that shaft, and then the shaft itself can be easily just slid right out through the side of the carburetor.
Okay. We're pretty much done with that part. Oh. I see now. So the bellows is just coming apart into little pieces. That's what this is. A little piece of it. Fortunately, we got a new one of those. Okay, and that's for this actuator rod here that goes down into the accelerator pump. Got a new one of those too. Okay, so that is almost all we need off of this.
So now I'm just taking apart the enrichment device, which is just a little plunger that slides up and down to allow more fuel into the mixture when it's cold.
Spring, cap, should be plunger. Okay, that should be all we need of that. And except for this O-ring. Let's get that O-ring actually. It's pretty smashed. Okay. All right, that's a beginning. Okay, this part's pretty easy. Just got a single retaining screw here for the float. Really simple setup here. So we got your float, which it does not have. It doesn't have a replacement float. There's your pivot, and then this is the needle valve that goes into your seat, which we are going to be replacing. I'll go ahead and get this out. No O-ring. I think there's supposed to be an O-ring on there. And our seat. Okay. Only thing left on here is the accelerator pump. This does have a spring under it and a couple of little ball bearing check valve things, so you don't want parts to go flying. Okay, and there's one of the seals there, goes into this little divot right there, pretty well squished. This isn't too bad, tiny bit crusty, not too bad, pretty good actually. Little spring and remnants of what used to be the accelerator pump. Just pieces now. So fortunately we have a new one of those. I don't know if it comes with a new spring, I assume it does. So that is in the pile of pieces, and then we got just some remnants here, the ball bearings. That ball bearing. Yeah, you stay there, that's a good place for you. There's that that is maybe it. Oh, there it is. I got it. I hope I got another one of those because that's trashed as well. Right, and then there's a little spring in here. Goes with the bearing. Some kind of little check valve or something in there. So there's the bottom of that from the other side. So that's pretty clean actually. Everything looks pretty good. Float bowl actually looks pretty good. Not bad at all. So just a little bit of gunk in there, but I'm going to give it a good soak. We got the chem dip. And we're going to put all these parts that we're going to reuse, which is this, this, oops, I don't think it comes with a new spring or anything, so we're going to use all those things. We're going to replace this, so I've got a new one of these and a new shaft. We're not going to bother with this because I've got a new seat. This we'll put in, and then I don't know what we've got for other parts in here, so we don't need to worry about the shaft. We got the new seat and needle valve. We got the bellows, so we don't have to worry about that. Emulsion tube needs to go in. And apparently I'm going to have to put in, don't see any parts for the accelerator pump in here. I mean for the enricher rather. We're going with that. So all those parts are going in. to the bath, jet adjuster, and that is it. So all of this stuff here is going into the bath, and then I will come back and reassemble with new gasket and new parts. So let's dunk this stuff on the tray here, so hopefully have enough room for everything in here. Yeah, it'll be right. Okay. Into the abyss with you.
Okay, so the carburetor actually turned out to be pretty clean. Wasn't too bad inside. So after a good cleaning, going through the chem dip and a little cleaning up with the carb cleaner and replace some of those parts, it's actually in really great shape, I think. The only thing that was really in bad shape inside that carburetor was the accelerator pump, which was completely trashed. And some of the little O-rings and gaskets, and I'm not super impressed with the rebuild kit I bought. So next time I'm going to buy a better kit because it was missing a couple of things, and also the seat for the needle valve turned out to not be the right thread for the carburetor, so I couldn't use that, so I had to use the original seat, so that wasn't great. But I think it's back together in good working order now, so let's get it back on the bike and fire it up, see what happens.
Okay, so the carburetor is back on the bike. Everything is all back together. So now I am going to try and start it again. Hopefully this time I will actually see some oil pressure, because I went ahead and I disconnected the output, the return line from the oil pump, put it into a bucket and kicked it a bunch of times with the spark plugs out, and it did start pumping oil out of the oil pump. So hopefully that means that we are actually circulating oil, and we'll get some oil pressure this time on the gauge. So let's see if we can. I let it get hot in here today just because I knew I was going to try this. Fuel is on and it's not dripping, and I got a good shot of fuel there. So in theory, this is probably going to start up. Of course, I should probably put both plug wires on. It would help the way it runs. Okay, here we go. Oh, that was the wrong stroke, James. Okay, I got a lot of smoke. Okay, so I think we're pumping oil. I took the oil cap off. I'm going to start it briefly. I'm going to see if oil comes out of the return line. But I am not getting any reading at all on the gauge. That's a lot of oil coming out of there. Okay, So the oil pump at least is returning oil to the tank. So the oil must be coming from somewhere. So I'm wondering if maybe that gauge just doesn't work. So I might order a new gauge, but clearly oil is being circulated.
Okay, I am calling the carburetor rebuild project a success.
We're not dripping anymore. The accelerator pump is working. Obviously the enricher is working because I got it to start no problem when I put the enricher on. Haven't really adjusted much. Haven't seen this needle on the oil pressure gauge move at all, so not sure what's going on there. Maybe this is a bad gauge. I have seen oil circulate. Obviously it's pumping oil back up to the tank, so you know, if it's pumping oil back up to the tank, unless it's been sumping oil overnight. You know, how is the oil getting into the case to get back? So hopefully that means that it is, in fact, pumping oil and there is oil pressure. It's just that the gauge maybe is no good. So I'm going to order a new gauge. Maybe I'll try to set it up so that I can have the gauge and the light, or maybe I'll just order a sending unit for this thing and just get the light working, so at least I have something I can actually see up on the dashboard. But right now, I think we're okay. I'm just not sure why I'm not seeing oil pressure on the gauge here, even though I'm seeing oil circulate pretty obviously back up to the tank. So it is pumping oil around. Anyway, so I think we're good for today. I think she's going to be a runner, and even though she still has a little bit of work to do before she's really ready for the road, I've got the kickstart mechanism rebuild kit on order. It seems to not have moved yet, but the shipping label has been created. So I'm going to do that because this is obviously not ideal, and the rest of the bike seems like it's in pretty good shape. I'm going to have a bunch of little stuff to do like brakes and tires and that kind of stuff, but I think that's not much in the way of getting this thing out in the wind in the spring.